Welcome to Clinical Operations. Clinical Operations, or ClinOps, is the operational engine that executes clinical trials, managing study sites, timelines, and budgets. The primary goal of ClinOps is to ensure that clinical trials are executed in compliance with the protocol, GCP guidelines, and local regulations. This department coordinates the logistics of the trial, including investigator site selection, site training, drug supply chain management, and monitoring. ClinOps professionals act as the primary liaison between the sponsor and the clinical sites, ensuring that investigators have the support and resources needed to conduct the trial safely. Throughout this lecture, we will explore the life cycle of site management, site visits, monitoring strategies, and the critical role of the clinical research associate. Site feasibility and selection is the initial phase of clinical operations site management, evaluating potential sites to ensure they can conduct the trial successfully. Clinical operations teams distribute feasibility questionnaires to prospective investigators, assessing their experience, staff capacity, and patient access. A CRA then conducts pre-study visits to evaluate the site's facilities, check equipment calibration, and inspect drug storage areas. The CRA also reviews the site's past recruitment performance and assesses their interest in the trial. The findings from these visits are compiled into site selection reports, helping the sponsor select the most qualified sites. Proper site selection prevents enrollment delays, ensures protocol compliance, and reduces the risk of protocol deviations during study conduct. The site initiation visit is conducted after a site has been selected, contracts are signed, and IRB approval is secured. The SIV is a comprehensive training session designed to prepare the investigator and site staff to begin screening and enrolling patients. The CRA provides detailed training on the protocol, inclusion and exclusion criteria, and electronic case report form completion. The CRA also reviews laboratory procedures, investigational product storage requirements, temperature monitoring logs, and safety reporting workflows. The site staff must demonstrate access to clinical systems, including the EDC and interactive response technology platforms. Accurate documentation of this training must be recorded on training logs before the site is activated and allowed to enroll subjects. Clinical monitoring visits are conducted throughout the active phase of the clinical trial to oversee site compliance, patient safety, and data quality. The clinical research associate performs source data verification and source data review, comparing the entered ECRF data against the patient's medical records. The CRA checks the informed consent documentation for every enrolled subject to confirm consent was obtained prior to any procedures. Investigational product accountability is audited by cross-referencing physical stock with the dispensing logs in the interactive response technology system. The CRA also reviews the delegation of authority log, training records, and site correspondence. Any compliance issues, data entry backlogs, or protocol deviations are discussed with the coordinator and principal investigator. Patient recruitment and retention represent critical operational challenges in clinical operations, directly impacting study timelines and database lock milestones. ClinOps teams design recruitment plans, utilizing patient registries, digital outreach, and site databases to identify potential candidates. Retaining patients requires providing supportive site environments, minimizing study visit burdens, and utilizing tools like remote monitoring or home nursing. Operations teams track screening rates, enrollment velocity, and dropout frequencies to identify sites that require additional recruitment support. Ensuring high retention rates protects the statistical power of the clinical data and prevents data gaps. Successful recruitment and retention strategies require collaboration between sites, sponsors, and patient advocacy groups. Safety management at the clinical site is a critical regulatory responsibility coordinated by clinical operations and pharmacovigilance teams. Site investigators must monitor study subjects for any adverse events or serious adverse events that occur during the trial. The investigator must document these events in the subject's source files, determining seriousness, expectedness, and relationship to the investigational product. Serious adverse events must be reported to the sponsor within 24 hours of site awareness, initiating rapid safety processing. The CRA monitors safety documentation during site visits, verifying that all SAEs are reported within regulatory timelines. Proper safety reporting ensures patient safety, satisfies health authority requirements, and supports ongoing risk-benefit evaluations. The site closeout visit represents the final operational activity performed by the CRA at the conclusion of a clinical trial. The COV is conducted after all subjects have completed their visits, the database has been locked, and all queries have been resolved. The CRA performs final investigational product reconciliation, coordinating the return or destruction of all unused clinical supplies. The CRA verifies the final query status in the EDC system, confirms that all protocol deviations have been documented, and reviews the site's long-term archiving plans. The CRA reminds the investigator of their regulatory obligation to retain study records for the mandated period and obtains final signatures, documenting the visit in the closeout report. Vendor management in clinical operations involves overseeing contracted service providers, including contract research organizations, central laboratories, and clinical supply managers. Under ICH GCP guidelines, sponsors retain ultimate responsibility for trial quality, even when outsourcing activities to vendors. ClinOps teams develop vendor oversight plans, establishing key performance indicators and service-level agreements to monitor vendor performance. Oversight activities include conducting periodic quality reviews, auditing vendor deliverables, and monitoring milestone timelines. Regular governance meetings and documented oversight activities provide evidence of active sponsor oversight. Proper vendor management ensures that outsourced activities are executed in compliance with the protocol and regulatory standards, protecting patient safety and data validity.